Top 5 Strangest Bermuda Triangle Disappearances. The Bermuda Triangle is one of the most terrifying triangles ever. This large region of water has multiple disappearances in it, from both planes and ships. Despite this, it's still a part of major trade and shipping routes in the Atlantic, and even cruise ships still pass through it with relative frequency. Today, we'll give you 5 unexplained disappearances around the Bermuda Triangle. After hearing them, you may not want to go on a cruise in that area after all. Number 5. UFO sighting. In 1971, aboard the USS John F. Kennedy, there was reportedly an unidentified flying object above the ship. Someone pointed it out, while one crew member called it the end of the world. The men in the communications room went to take a look at what was happening and saw a large, glowing sphere above the ship. This event took place when the sun had set, and no one knew what the object was. Battle stations were manned, but were quickly shut down by the ship's captain. Allegedly, some of the ship's radar and navigation equipment did not work while the UFO was above the ship. A few days later, the captain of the ship told the crew that what had happened on the ship should stay on the ship. What do you think? Was this strange light aliens, something from the Bermuda Triangle, or just a mass hallucination? Number 4. Great Isaac Lighthouse. The Great Isaac Lighthouse was erected in the 1850s and did its job very well for more than 100 years. However, the lighthouse was always a little spooky, and there was a ghost story surrounding it. As the story goes, there was a shipwreck on the island with only one survivor, a small infant. The infant's mother allegedly haunts the island to this day, wailing in sorrow on full moon nights. She was locally known as the Gray Lady. Further mysteries surrounded this island in 1969 when a storm blew through, and the 2 lighthouse keepers at the time disappeared completely. While it's likely they were swept away by the storm, perhaps the forces behind the Bermuda Triangle, or even the Gray Lady herself, were the cause of the keepers' untimely demise. Currently, you can go visit the lighthouse for yourself, although parts of the derelict building have been blocked off for safety reasons. What do you think happened on this mysterious island? Would you ever go yourself? Number 3. Ellen Austin. The Ellen Austin was built in 1854 and had made a few cotton deliveries around the U.S. and across the Atlantic. The ship's captain, Captain Garrick, was a shockingly brutal man. He was called upon to take the deposition of a sailor named Thomas Campbell. He first beat the man, then set dogs upon him. While he was supposed to be arrested for his brutality, he remained in charge of the Ellen Austin. He was caught several years later, and Captain Baker became the new captain. While making a shipment, Baker ran into a ship full of cargo that had been completely abandoned. Some of the crew members tried to sail the ship home with the Ellen Austin, but were separated in a storm. When the Ellen Austin's crew caught up with the ship, it was empty. The crew from the Ellen Austin had vanished. Had the Ellen Austin run into a ghost ship? Captain Baker sailed the Atlantic on the Ellen Austin a while later with another crew, following in a ship behind him, and once again, that crew disappeared off the otherwise untouched boat. Later, the Ellen Austin was sold and renamed and eventually wrecked. But a legend was born. What do you think? Was the ship cursed, or was there something else going on here? Number 2. USS Cyclops. The USS Cyclops was a cargo ship that disappeared in 1918 during World War I. She was supposed to depart for Baltimore, carrying manganese ore, which was used for munitions. The ship was carrying more ore than her capacity, 11,000 tons of cargo versus an 8,000-ton capacity. Before leaving a port in Rio, the commander, George Worley, reported engine damage. A board recommended they fix it in the U.S. After the ship set out, however, she and her crew of 306 disappeared without a trace in the Bermuda Triangle. It is to this day the single largest loss of life in the US Navy not involving combat. The theory is that the ship went down because of the engine damage as well as the overloaded cargo. But it's also likely they were attacked by enemy forces, and the previous damage led to an untimely demise. Others think that the Bermuda Triangle was the cause of the ship's disappearance. What do you think? Was the ship attacked? Let us know in the comments. Number 1. Flight 19. Flight 19 was a simple training flight. 19 torpedo bombers took off from Florida. Their mission was to take them through the Bermuda Triangle and do a bombing run. All the men on the planes were experienced, including the flight's leader, Lieutenant Charles C. Taylor. Everything started out fine, but on the return trip to Florida, Taylor thought his compass had malfunctioned. A storm disoriented every plane. Taylor thought he was in the Florida Keys, hundreds of miles off course. He kept heading east, thinking he was already over the Gulf of Mexico, and the rest of the planes under his command followed him. The Navy sent out search planes immediately, but it was too late. Not only that, but 2 of the flying boats they sent vanished off the radar. The Navy spent 5 days, covering 300,000 miles of ocean searching for the lost pilots, and found nothing. To this day, no sign of the missing pilots have been found. Over 27 people vanished from the face of the earth. While it's possible that Lieutenant Taylor had one malfunction that led to another, it's also possible that something else was going on. Something paranormal. Flight 19 remains an unexplained mystery to this day. Thanks for watching our video. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you don't miss more spooky videos by us.